responsibility.
Finishing this fight.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome into the Lore Council. This is Cade, and I am joined today with Keith.
Good evening, afternoon, or morning, whatever time of day you're listening to this on. Hello.
Yes, and Keith, tell us what we're doing today.
We are here to tell you that Revenge of the Sith is not as good as you think it is.
Whoa! Meh, 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 meh. Fire alarm. Yeah, man.
Ian.
Yeah,
Mic
man.
drop.
Mic drop. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's mid. Would you agree it's mid? Slightly
Yeah.
better than mid?
I mean, I definitely liked it, when I was a kid. It was like my favorite movie, but upon rewatch, consideration, it's not that good. It is, in fact, my least favorite prequel movie.
Whoa! Mic drop again. Meh, 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 meh.
Definitely not my least favorite Star Wars movie. It's got plenty of other competition for that, but just kind of don't really like it anymore. There's always, I guess I just realized all the dumb stuff about the movie, the plot holes, the things that just didn't add up, that always kind of bugged me in the back of my mind, and then it all came forward, and I was like, this sucks.
Sure. What was kind of the big turning point on what made you kind of realize that it wasn't as good as you had originally thought it was?
I guess I got more into like the original trilogy and the expanded universe and stuff like that. And the movie just doesn't feel very satisfying to watch. And just considering it in the context of the whole universe, it just feels kind of dumb. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't beat the OT, man. It's too good.
No, yeah, they are the classic movies, the original standard. For sure.
Yeah, I had a very similar route as you did. I saw this movie opening night at midnight. I was, I think, 9 years old. I went to see it with my best buddy at the time. His dad brought us. We even went to Burger King beforehand. We got the chicken nuggets that were like Star Wars themed. So there was like a Yoda one and a Star one and a lightning bolt because, Force lightning. Yeah, man, we were fully invested in the hype train. And going into it, watching the movie, it was great. For the longest time, I would constantly say that Revenge of the Sith, it was my favorite movie. And I think what kind of made me realize that it wasn't as great as I remember is having people tell me that the novel was so much better. And then I think when I was in high school, I finally went and I read the novel. And I'm like, oh wow, like this is actually just way better. And the thing that I realize now, probably about a decade on from that, is this movie is so whack, and its wackest moments are so whack that not even how great the novel is can fix this movie. It's not that great. I still enjoy it. Like, it's not like I'm dreading, like, if I do like a Star Wars watch, it's not like I'm like, oh no, I have to watch Revenge of the Sith. Oh god, I'm gonna saw my foot off to get out of here or anything. But yeah, it's definitely hasn't aged the greatest, to say. So that's how we came about. And obviously we know that, as we've mentioned in a couple other videos, there's this odd consensus now that Revenge of the Sith is just like this masterpiece, the greatest Star Wars thing ever put to film. And the internet's opinion at the moment is definitely that this is the best Star Wars. And we obviously very much agree. And with that, I suppose we can jump right in here, and we can kind of get going through some reasons that we think it's not that great. So, starting off, the first one we got here is the fall of Anakin. So, do you want to kind of jump in and tell us what you think of the fall of Anakin in this movie?
Yeah, so for Anakin's fall, yeah, definitely just think it's, kind of rushed. Just doesn't feel like what it's supposed to be, just with how Darth Vader is portrayed in the original trilogy, and just the way that all that is spoken about. Just doesn't really fit with what goes down in Revenge of the Sith.
Sure. Like, are there any specific things that you can kind of think of right away that jump out at you that don't kind of align with the OT?
Um, nothing really comes to mind. It's just like a general feeling of like this is not how it's supposed to be. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, because to kind of jump along with the point here, I 100% agree. Like, Anakin's fall is definitely rushed. We see him have like, people like to say he has lots of darker moments. But if we're going through just off of the movies, he doesn't have a lot of dark moments. Like, he murders a village of Tusken Raiders down to the last person. Like, he kills the men and the women and the children. Which, yeah, that's not cool, bro. But then in episode 3, like, we literally completely ignore that, and we open up with him and Obi-Wan being like quippy buddies flying their Jedi starfighters together. And, like, the worst thing that he does beforehand is kill Dooku, which, I mean, like, yeah, I guess they could have brought him in for trial, but at the end of the day, like, killing Dooku is not like the darkest thing ever.
I mean, no one even blinked when Obi-Wan killed Maul. Like, there wasn't even a question. Like,
yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's like his fall is rushed. He goes from 1 minute,
which kind of brings the whole thing into question.
Yeah, and we have it where he goes from 1 minute, he's like a Jedi who just turned in Palpatine over to the Council, and he's like, hey, like, he's a Sith Lord, and then like 15 minutes later in the movie, he's like murdering children. Like, there's no essence to this fall. It's so rushed. It's like literally just like a night and a day difference of like, oh, like, I'm about to turn in this guy, but I'm gonna have this weird moment where I stare off and cry, as Padme is also staring off and crying, and then all of a sudden, oh no, I'm actually gonna go stop this, and then he pledges himself to Sidious, and then he goes and murders people that he's known presumably for years, and also murders a bunch of children. So his fall isn't that good. Like, yeah, it happens. Like, he turns to the dark side. But again, people will bring up, this is especially where you get into stuff like Clone Wars saved episode 3. It's like, okay, but if a movie's good, it shouldn't need a cartoon show to save it. If it's so good, it should be able to stand on its own feet, and you shouldn't need to add in all these moments of Anakin.
Okay. Before we get off on a whole tirade there about the Clone Wars, I was just gonna say, for that specific part with, like, Mace and Palpatine and Anakin, where it's like, he is the chosen, or he is the traitor, or whatever. Yeah, Anakin, he's like, okay, you can't kill Palpatine because that's not the Jedi way, or something. Which, yeah, I mean, if he's trying to be a good guy, which he was before, that kind of makes sense. But then 2 seconds later, he chops off Mace Windu's arm, and then just lets Palpatine, electrocute him, and then he's just like, all right, guess I'm a Sith now.
Yeah, like, he didn't have the option right there to just, like, lop off Palpatine's head and be like, oh, no, actually, hold up.
Like, he could have done anything else, but yeah, with the way the script plays out, it just kind of seems like, things happen in the script because George Lucas wanted them to happen, not because it was like a logical progression of events, Well,
I don't even think it's that George Lucas wanted them to happen. I think it's just because he didn't spend any time throughout the rest of the trilogy kind of pushing Anakin along the way. Like, we have stuff in episode 1 where Ki-Adi Mundi's like, oh, your thoughts dwell on your mother. And then in episode 2, he murders people, murders people, and then in episode 3 he murders children. Like, there's no slight fall. It's just here's Anakin, the good guy. He's the hero without fear. He's such a good guy. Oh wow. And then literally, like I said earlier, like 15 minutes later, he's murdering children. Like, Anakin's fall is not tragic. The other reason his fall is not tragic is because Anakin has literally everything he wants, and he does everything in his power to throw it all away. Like, people love to, and we'll get into this point deeper later on, but people love to, like, crap on Yoda of being like, oh, well, Yoda told him this, and blah, blah, blah. Anakin should have listened to Yoda, and everything would have been fine. But yeah, I digress on this point. Anakin's fall is bad. It's a terrible point for the movie. And it only happened because George Lucas only had one movie to turn him into Darth Vader. He had, like, 2 hours to turn him into Darth Vader. And this is what we got.
Yeah.
And it's not great.
He manages to follow, like, the general kind of outline of what he set out, you know. Anakin does hunt down the remaining Jedi Knights and stuff, and does turn to evil, but it's just kind of not very well done in the movie.
Yeah, really, really rushed. Even the book can't help this. But yeah. On to our next point here, though, unless you have anything else to add to the terribly rushed fall of Anakin.
Well, I mean, no, it's just kind of he just jumps all over the place the whole movie, you know, like he's wanting to save Padme, and then at the end he gets all, you know, Sith crazy, and then basically kills her.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is not great. But next up, our point next here is Palpatine's manipulations aren't that good, and they're pretty darn convoluted. What else do you have to add to that opening statement on Palpatine's terrible manipulations?
I mean, I don't think I would call them terrible, but I mean, yeah, there's not really like much manipulation. It's like he tells Anakin a story about like life-saving Sith powers, and Anakin just jumps on it, and that's it. That's all he needed.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't even have to give up the powers. It's just like,
because he doesn't have them.
Like, I'm gonna serve you because reasons.
Because I just chopped off Mace Windu's hand.
Because reasons.
Because I'm married to Natalie Portman.
Like he says, so yeah, like a second before he chops off Mace's hand, he says, "I need him." What does he need him for? To save his wife? But then he says, "I don't know how to save her.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro."
Well, and literally, that's the biggest point of why Palpatine in this movie, he's not that great. Like, we have him as he's getting electrocuted by Mace. He's like, "I have the power to save the one you love," and then you said it exactly. Like 2 minutes later, he's like, "I'm sorry, bro. I totally bullshitted that one. I was getting electrocuted."
And then Anakin doesn't even blink an eye, and he's off to kill younglings.
Yeah, literally. Like, Anakin literally right there should have been like, "Oh, wait, hold up, bro. Like, excuse me?"
Yep.
Like, you basically just swore on your goddamn Yeezys that you would be able to save my wife. I just murdered someone for you. And it's like, at that point, like, yeah, people make the argument, "Oh, Anakin didn't have anything left." It's like, yes, he did. He had his wife and the entire Jedi Order. Like, he made the choice knowing full well that Sidious just lied straight to his face to be like, "Oh yeah, bro, like, I trust you, like, we'll definitely save Padme." And it's just ridiculous. Like, just the fact that, like, this is people think that this manipulation is good? Huh? Like, I'm sorry, man.
Arguably, the only reason Padme dies because she got, like, so stressed out by Anakin. So, you know, if he had never joined Palpatine, then she probably would have been fine. Which is I guess that's the tragic part.
Yeah,
He's fucking stupid.
The tragic part is that Anakin has everything in his entire life he could ever want, and then does everything of his own volition to screw it up. Also, another point that I'm going to add in is people saying that, Palpatine manipulated Anakin. like, oh my god, Anakin was like just groomed. It's like Anakin still has his own agency. Anakin is still a character. He's still, I'm a person and my name's Anakin. Like, he's not like the Palpatine robot. Like, Anakin still chose to do all this stuff. If you're looking at him as a character, as a person,
yeah, he could have always left the Order at any time. I mean,
yeah, he could have left the Order. There was a million things he could have done. But no, apparently Palpatine in these movies is just the master manipulator of Anakin. And I don't see it. I don't think his manipulations of Anakin in this are great. Like, yeah, there's I guess you could say, like, he manipulates him on the invisible hand into killing Dooku with the do it. But it's like, Anakin, like...
And then what's the main reason people point to is, like, the Jedi being mean is because they don't put Anakin as a master on the council?
Yeah, and, like, Palpatine literally gets Anakin to be on the council, and... yeah, apparently is that his manipulation? Like,
yep.
What? Okay. So Anakin once again gets what he wants, but he has to throw it away because he's the piss pants. But yeah, I can't stand the whole idea that Palpatine has this amazing manipulation of Anakin. And once again, people love to pull in other media. But again, if we're just going off the movies, which is what we're doing, and Palpatine doesn't do anything to manipulate Anakin. Aside from lie to him, which it obviously is manipulating, but it's such a bad lie that Anakin should have been like, hold up, bro. Wait a minute.
Yep. Anakin just falls face first into a dark side pie.
Yeah, big old dark side apple pie. Extra dark side whipped cream. Anything you want to add on Palpatine's manipulations before we move on?
No, not really.
All right, perfecto. Next we get on to my absolute one of my least favorite things that people go on about, is the Anakin and also Hayden Christensen just like wank fest that's on the internet. I will go on record right now at the time of the recording, 4:04 Central Standard Time PM on 1/7/23 of saying Hayden Christensen is not a good actor. Nothing he has been in, he has been a good actor in. He does a great job of playing a spoiled, pouty brat, and that's about it. That's all I have to say about Hayden Christensen. Like, he's not good. He's not a good actor.
Outrageous. It's unfair.
That's outrageous. Unfair. All right. Could we do that a little
Faster, more intense?
A little slower, a little less intense, please? And
but yeah, the dialogue of the movie definitely doesn't help, but yeah, Hayden's not doing the best job there either.
Yeah. And again, the Anakin wank in this movie is also really bad. People are like, oh my god, like, he's so in the right, like, he's the secret good guy of Star Wars. It reminds me of people who think Walter White is a good guy just because he's the protagonist. Like, Anakin is not a good person. Walter White is not a good person. If you think that either of these people are good people, again and again, very specifically Anakin in this movie, you're just wrong. I understand that he is the protagonist, and typically protagonists are good guys, but in this movie, Anakin goes out of his way to just be a little piss pants.
Yeah, and it just makes Anakin look like a total drip, you know, just in context with the original trilogy.
Yeah, like we have in the original trilogy, we have Vader, who is this very well-spoken, like almost like eloquent character who is very like sure of himself, very very confident, to this like timid sounding dingus who sounds like he's about to cry anytime he's like talked down to. And it just it's not a good look to be going on about how much you love this character and how this character's right when he literally murders children. Like, I understand that people like to argue, and like we obviously touched on that earlier with our first point, that his fall is air quotes, like, tragic, it's sad, boo-hoo, he still murdered children, though. Like, he's a bad guy.
Yeah, definitely sliced up some daisies.
Yeah. Yeah, left him as a salad. Gotta love that salad. Anything you want to add on to the Anakin Hayden wank being completely unwarranted?
Yeah, I just think it's uncalled for. I mean, like I'm not trying to hate or anything, but it's definitely not really that warranted. Like the movie's just it's not that good. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think anybody that just like really enjoys watching Revenge of the Sith is watching it with intense nostalgia goggles on.
Yeah, and we'll definitely touch on that later. All right. So next up, reason that we have that people think this movie's great, and we don't think it's that great. People love to bring up like the Revenge of the Sith memes as a reason why the movie's good. Like it gave us so many meme-worthy moments, bro. Okay.
Yeah, don't you just love rewatching it so you can watch the meme moments, bro?
Oh, bro, Obi-Wan just said hello there, bro. Oh, we have to make sure that Obi-Wan says that in every other piece of media that he's in, because it's so iconic, bro. Hello there. Wow.
Yeah, and stuff like that just really feeds into the whole circle jerky, wanky writing of where, I hate to admit this, but I tried watching The Bad Batch Season 2. They did the epic reference where there's like two clone troopers and one is like, what was that? And the other one is like, that's nothing. And I was like, oh, he did the thing.
He did the thing.
He did the thing from before because he did that thing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, if it gets to the point where you're remembering a movie because this is where the fun begins. That's that meme template I've been using since 2010. That's funny. Like, are you recognizing the movie for how good it is, or do you just like your bad Facebook memes? It's a very bad reason. So like take like imagine like someone coming up to you, okay? And they're like, "Oh man, I just watched Empire Strikes Back. Totally hilarious when Han Solo says laugh it up, fuzzball." Like that's hilarious. Oh, it's such a meme, bro. Oh my god, Luke, I'm your father. That's such a meme, bro.
Well, to be fair, the original trilogy is not definitely not as memeable. I've certainly tried to meme it, but it can't be done.
Yeah, I just think that like people who are defending this movie on the basis of, oh, bro, but the memes, bro. Like it's such a Facebook level analysis of the film of like, oh,
yeah,
funny moment.
The memes definitely aren't a good defense.
Yeah, especially since the memes haven't been funny since like 2012.
Yep. And really, were they really ever funny?
Well, in 2012, I was 16, so yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my labor center, or my funny center of the brain wasn't quite developed yet. All right, on to a more serious point, to get that one out of the way. We actually have a video on this next point on unwarranted Jedi hate. I'm going to link down in the description a video called The Jedi Aren't As Bad As You Think. Give that video a watch. It will explain our points on this. We'll touch on it here, obviously. Why do people hate the Jedi in this movie? Do you have any good reasons why people do?
Oh, I don't have any good reasons, but
do you have terrible internet reasons why people hate the Jedi? Oh, perfect.
I certainly do.
Just what my blood pressure needed.
Yeah, people say the Council denies Anakin the rank of Master. That's the first one to come to mind.
Yeah, which is totally warranted because, again, he acts like a spoiled little piss pants whenever they tell him no to anything. And he kind of exemplifies that when he has his little temper tantrum in the Jedi Council chambers.
But other than that, any other reasons people give are usually just like made
Jedi
up stuff, like
Jedi arrogant. Jedi bad. Jedi no allow wives. Ooga booga. Jedi bad. Yeah, it's not great. There's really no point in really like these people wanting to. It's just.
I feel like the Jedi do pretty much everything right.
Yeah. Well, and another reason, I guess, that kind of to go with the reason you brought up earlier, is when you people on the internet love to bring up, oh, well, the Jedi were just gonna kill Palpatine. Oh, that's not very cool, bro. It's like, okay, but
yeah, that's another one. Yeah,
he's literally a Sith Lord. Like
Right.
he's literally the evilest person in the entire galaxy.
And just going off of the last two Siths we encountered, let's see, Darth Maul dead, Count Dooku dead. So why wouldn't we kill the third one, the guy who's in charge of everything? Like, suddenly we're in the keeping Sith alive business? I don't think so.
And I think this kind of ties back to our third point of the Anakin wank, is people just want to agree with Anakin because they want to agree with the protagonist, and people apparently, some people haven't passed middle school English where they tell you that protagonist doesn't necessarily equal good guy. Where Anakin says all these bad things about the Jedi, about how, oh, I'm such a little piss baby and I'm gonna cry about everything, and then the audience is like, oh my god, this guy's correct. But yeah, like, the Jedi killing Palpatine literally would have been the best thing they possibly could have done. They literally talk about how the Jedi might have to temporarily take control of the Senate and take control of the government temporarily. And people are like, there it is, bro. There it is, bro. The Jedi are grabbing for power, bro. They're
taking over!
They're taking over! Like, literally. Like, it's like, I get it. Like, some people are just contrarians and they want to root against the good guys, but the Jedi in Revenge of the Sith are literally the good guys.
Right, like, remember, Sidious is the bad guy. He's the bad guy in the original trilogy, so...
He's still the bad guy.
Yeah.
It gets very ridiculous, and...
Like, the Jedi are against Sidious, who is the bad guy, ergo, they're the good guys. I mean, this is not exactly... It's not rocket science here.
No, it is not. Well, I mean, it is to people who haven't passed their middle school English class, I guess, but... Yeah, the Jedi are the good guys. And again, the video will be linked down in the description for you guys to watch. Go ahead and give that video a watch as well. On to the next point.
But, well, I was just going to say, but yeah, people really do love to just point at the Jedi stuff in Revenge of the Sith and be like, yeah, the Jedi were so corrupt and stuff. Oh, it really showed the whole corruption of the Order. They needed to fall, bro.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, oh yeah, the Jedi deserved it. It's like, okay, so those like 10-year-old kids deserve to get moited because they had blue lightsabers. Yeah, it's a very, very weird worldview that those people must have.
Indeed.
But yeah, next point here. The lightsaber battles are so cool, bro. Oh, they're so cool. They do so many spins and flips, and they're flipping their lightsabers while they're spinning, and they're swinging from ropes. It's so cool and epic.
Which, how many lightsaber battles are in the movie? Is it like 4? 5?
3.
Well,
4.
There's the Count Dooku battle, Grievous and Obi-Wan.
Oh god, yeah. So there's 5.
There's Sidious versus
Yoda.
Windu and his Jedi pals.
Sidious
versus Yoda.
And then
like
Obi
5 or 6.
It'd be 5, yeah.
Like 5, okay.
Yeah, 5.
All of them are just okay.
I'm gonna absolutely, people, feel free to crucify me for this one if you can find where I live. But I think the best done duel in this movie is Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Dooku, because it doesn't have an outrageous number of flips. It doesn't have an outrageous number of stupid moves. It's like the most, like, it's straightforward.
That would be the first one I would point to as being pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's not overdone. It doesn't have Sidious doing a weird fucking barrel roll. Like, it's got, like, good choreography, and it's not, like, overdone. And I think it has the good parallel of Anakin using his grumpiness, just like how Luke, 3 movies later, uses his grumpiness. So it's like a good parallel, it's a good start to the lightsaber duels. And then from there, I mean, Obi-Wan versus Grievous is just a hot pile of dog duty. Like, yeah, it's cool when Grievous reveals, like, the 4 arms.
Do you think the movie maybe jumps the shark with that whole opening sequence?
I don't think it jumps
that's kind of the best part of the movie.
I don't think it jumps the shark necessarily. I think it just George Lucas just wanted to have these super spectacular lightsaber fights, and I think he just overdoes it.
That first like hour of the movie is like almost its own little mini movie adventure thing, you know?
Well, it's just the first act of a movie.
No, yeah, but still.
But yeah, I think that Obi-Wan Grievous is just terrible. Like, it's cool when Grievous has the buzzsaw thing and Obi-Wan stops it, but that lasts literally like a minute.
Yeah, like Obi-Wan beats him pretty easily.
Yeah, and then he runs away.
He's chopping his arms off.
Yeah, he chops off 2 of his hands. Grievous runs away, and then we get a stupid chase scene between the lizard that apparently can just run like hundreds of miles an hour against Grievous's goofy little
his wheel
bike thing. I will say, I had
the toy as a kid too.
Yeah, I had the toy as a kid. I don't remember if it came in a pack where it came with Obi-Wan on the lizard and Grievous on the wheel bike, but I had them both. So that was really cool, but going back and watching it, I'm like, wow, this is just CGI the musical.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still think the wheel bike looks pretty cool. Like
the wheel bike looks cool, but they used it in like
memorable
in the most boring way possible. Like, let's have it go down a tunnel, and Obi-Wan's just going to chase it on a lizard, and they're going to poke at each other with the electro staff.
Yeah, you kind of know it was just in there just so they could sell another toy. Unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. And then common consensus is that the Emperor versus the Jedi crew is not that great. Ian McDiarmid, the guy who played Palpatine, obviously, he was not like a trained choreographer, like sword fighter person, and they made him be like in the sword fighting, so it doesn't look good.
Right, and then they switched him. They would use a double and put CGI on the double's face, which also does not look great upon rewatch. But
yeah, it's not great. And then there's the goofy thing where they stand over by the window just so they can get that cool thing where the window like explodes into a CGI glass. Wow, that's CGI.
It's windy.
Whoa, it's windy now. Mace Windy. That's really not a good one.
Ships and stuff going on, bro.
Yeah. And then Yoda versus Sidious, I think, is fine, except
it's like so over the top that it's kind of good.
Yeah, because it's like 2 mega powers. It's like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man finally like fighting each other. But yeah, it's cool. I like the Force aspects of that fight where they're like throwing like the Senate pods at each other. Like, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I hate watching Yoda like actually like use his lightsaber because all he does is CGI flips.
Yeah.
But I like the beginning where they have like the little standoff where like Yoda knocks him ass overhead and Sidious force pushes him back and stuff.
Yeah, that little what's the word I'm looking for here?
Exchange.
Exchange, yes, exactly. Yeah, that little exchange is pretty good, pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And then finally we have according to 99% of the internet, the piece de resistance, the Battle of Heroes, Obi versus Annie, and it's, I think it's overrated. It's not that good. Like, it's a spectacle.
You're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Don't make me kill you.
I will do what I must.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
You will try.
Flip. It's not that. It's not good. There's too many like. I think like the Battle of Heroes like musical piece is it's really good, but I think that the actual fight itself is overrated.
It's almost like the music is too good for the fight you're seeing.
Yeah, honestly, like it is.
Like the fight is just kind of, I don't know. It just feels too like George is just like taking two action figures and just mashing them together just because he can. Like, you know, they're not trying to talk it out during the whole fight. Like once they start fighting, they're just fighting. They're just in full fight mode.
Yeah, they don't say a word until they get back on like the stupid little platform that's going through the lava.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
You underestimate my power.
Don't try it.
Ah!
Therp.
Yeah, it's. Well, you made a great point about how, like, the beginning of the fight, where they're just literally like Anakin's running forward and Obi-Wan's running backwards.
Yeah. That whole first exchange looks really stupid and they're just hitting their lightsabers back and forth the same way while they're like both running down a hallway together, like, and like one of them's going backwards in order to do that.
Yeah, it
looks goofy.
It does, and like I will say, like, it's very cool that Hayden Christensen and Obi-Wan, excuse me, Ewan
George is
McGregor.
just like, we built this whole hallway set. I guess we should have him like run down it.
I will say, like, it's really cool that the two actors did do the whole thing. Like, they learned it. It's not sped up or anything.
But
like, okay, that's cool. But
Catch-22, it looks choreographed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it does not look, at 99% of the fight, it doesn't look like they're swinging at each other. It looks like they're trying to hit each other's lightsabers. And I get it. It's a movie. Like,
it's like Spaceballs on meth, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's basically like Spaceballs lightsaber fight where they just hitting it back and forth in the same position over and over.
Spaceballs got some Blue Sky from Walter White, and they're just on meth. But yeah, it's not that great. You get a lot of goofy stuff. You get a part where they're like on a really narrow pipe and they have to balance in lightsaber fight. Whoa! You get the part where lava starts erupting out of the river because when they were fighting in the control room, they like destroyed a thing. We got lava falling from the skies. Whoa! And then it melts
and then
the
fight
bridge
goes
they're
on way too long.
Yeah.
It's just way too. It goes on too long, but you know, it's almost like like when I saw Avatar 2. Great movie, beautiful effects, but it's so fucking long that you just can't, like, you just stop appreciating the good effects and you're just like, okay, this is kind of taking a bit here. Could you move it along? And that's what happens in the Anakin fight. You're just like, could you get to the point already? All this like CGI stuff is fine, but I'd rather have some story to go with this.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's just overdone. There's no dialogue, and I get it. You don't always have to have dialogue during the fights, but I would say it works a little bit better in like Duel of Fates where there's no dialogue.
Right, yeah.
Because one, it's like half as long.
Right. It just looks better. It's better directed.
Yeah.
Better set.
And it's just it indulges in itself.
Better music.
I would say like it's like
if we're just doing like a direct
music.
comparison of like Duel of the Fates to Battle of the Heroes, Duel of the Fates definitely wins.
Oh yeah,
I do say that as a Phantom Menace stan, but it is what it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, okay, so like let's see here. I just pulled it up. So Anakin versus Obi-Wan is about 7 minutes long.
Okay.
And then we have...
It feels like it's 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's because it's intercut with the Yoda Sidious fight. Yeah. Okay, so here. I will point to this. This is my personal favorite, so I'm picking it. But Luke versus Vader in Return of the Jedi, the entire fight, including the dialogues in the middle, is 5 minutes. And I know there's only a 2-minute difference, but that 2 minutes, like, I feel it in the Annie-Obi fight. Like, with all the spinning, with the bridge that they're on falls down, and they have to climb up it, and Anakin's swinging like a dingus at Obi-Wan's legs. and then they're swinging on ropes, and they're doing it. It's too much. I'm not saying that every lightsaber fight has to be like episode 4, like two old guys hitting each other with sticks. But it doesn't need so many damn flips and spins and lightsaber tricks and stuff. Like,
whoa, Anakin's gonna jump off the top of this thing right before he falls into the lava waterfall. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, and there's also this lack, and this is kind of a problem with prequels in general, but we know both of them are going to live. The whole point of this is the whole point of this fight is just to see how Anakin becomes Vader.
Right.
And I would say that part is very effective. Like, we see him being overconfident, and then Obi-Wan yolks him, and then he lights on fire because he's next to a lava pool. That part, totally fine. Let's cut out 3 minutes of this fight. Perfect.
Right. Like, you could have just saved a whole bunch of time by having him, like, fight on, like, the edge of some lava or something, and just have the whole fight be in one, like, spot, and have it take, like, 2 or 3 minutes. Boom.
Yeah. Like, literally, it just overindulges George Lucas and people who love to defend that the Obi-Wan fight are like, yeah, bro, but this is what 2 fully trained Jedi at the height of the Jedi Order would look like, bro. It's like, really? Spins? Like little lightsaber spinny doos? That's it?
Or that part where they're both spinning their lightsabers around each other.
Yeah, like, what is that? It's so dumb. Like,
they're building up momentum, bro, and then they both hit at the same time. It's so cool.
It's like, we know they're gonna hit at the same time. Like, it's not good. It's not that great. It's the most, like, oh god, what's that, I'm trying to think. There's a really good,
like, the Dooku fight is just a lot better. I'm just thinking about it because, like, it's just, it's like, it's on this one location. They got, like, cool stuff going on in the backgrounds. It's like, there's a whole space battle going on. The ship is, like, shaking.
Yeah.
They're using environmental stuff to attack each other, and there's, little dialogue between the fighting.
Yeah, it works really well. Like, you have, like, Dooku, when they're on the invisible hand, like, he's taunting the other 2 Jedi, and it's just choreographed a lot better. What I was trying to think of earlier...
Still not amazing, but, a little more of that in the Anakin-Obi fight would have been cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess my final piece, I'm going to steal a line from Peter Griffin explaining why he doesn't like The Godfather. I think the Obi-Wan-Anakin duel, it insists upon itself. And it's overdone.
Yeah.
Do not care for it. It insists upon itself.
I find it to be shallow and pedantic.
Quite shallow and pedantic. Yes.
Indeed.
So going on to another hot button issue for fans. I think Grievous in this movie is just trash. Absolute doggy doo.
Yeah, and he's like the main villain besides Sidious.
Yeah, because Dooku's killed off in like the first 20 minutes. And so this goofy robot Russian is supposed to be intimidating.
he's not threatening at all.
No, like,
he seems like a stooge.
It's been pointed out a million times, but the first time we see him on screen in this movie, the door opens. It's this big dramatic reveal of this villain. It has super cool music. And he just...
No, it's cool. He's a cool coughing villain.
Yeah. That's what I looked... I remember when Darth Vader was coughing all the time in the original trilogy. That was so intimidating. Like, oh, Jesus. Oh, the robot's got bronchitis. Great.
I mean, it's cool that it fits with 03 Clone Wars, but I guess it kind of sucks that he's basically nerfed for this movie because of that. Because of what happens there.
Well, and even then, like...
George is just really committed to that continuity there, huh?
Yeah, well, and again, like like what I've been saying earlier, like...
For those of you who don't know, at the end of 03 Clone Wars, Grievous gets his rib cage crushed by Mace Windu, and that's why he's coughing throughout the entire Revenge of the Sith movie, even though he could have gone to a CIS doctor at any time, I assume.
Yeah, but in general, even, like, again, just taking this movie on its own, like, why would you have, like, one of your villains that, like, you hype up who uses 4 lightsabers. Like, why does he have the flu?
Right, like he's a cyborg robot guy.
Yeah,
With his coughing.
Yeah, like why, like just get him some Dayquil.
I mean, as
Solved.
a kid, I thought it was cool. Like I was like, ooh, he's coughing.
He looks cool. Like he's this big CGI like robot
Skeleton
guy.
robot.
Yeah, and he's got a cool cape. He can use 4 lightsabers. He's got a goofy accent, so you know he's evil.
Right.
But all we see him do in the movie is run away. Like when Anakin and Obi-Wan corner him on the invisible hand. Time to abandon ship. And he just yolks himself out the window.
I mean, I like that stuff. That's kind of cool. I don't know.
And then we have him versus Obi-Wan. He gets his hands immediately. I don't know. It's just not good. And then like, I don't know. Like he doesn't do anything particularly threatening. Like he's not a challenge for Obi-Wan. The only reason he's a challenge is because Obi-Wan lost his lightsaber.
Yeah, and then the whole movie they're saying like killing Grievous is the key to winning the war, but we don't really see why that's the case. Like, why is he such a brilliant tactician? Like,
you see, he's got general in his name.
Ah, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, not like when not like, you know, General Veers like gets pretty much blown up on Hoth, but I mean, that doesn't stop the Empire.
General Veers.
Doesn't stop the Empire, but yeah, if we kill Grievous, that's it, bro. But yeah, Grievous in this movie, he's not good at all, man. Yeah. Anything more you want to add into Mr. Grievous?
Well, I loved him as a kid just because he looks so cool, but
well, yeah, he looks cool.
Character-wise, it's a little bit lacking there. Yeah.
I mean, he looks cool. When I was a kid, I had the action figure where Grievous had 4 lightsabers. It's like, whoa, 4 lightsabers. That's 3 more than most people have.
Like I don't know. Like, yeah, he's definitely like the epitome of the cartoon 2D mustache twirling villain who's just a villain to be a villain.
Yeah, and
just villaining it up.
And apparently that's what Lucas wanted, but he has an old-timey mustache twirling villain because he has Count Dooku. Count Dooku is a mustache twirling villain who like pisses off. Yeah, Insidious. Like he has 2 of them. Like this dude is the funny thing is
Insidious is like the ultimate mustache twirling villain.
And a very funny thing about Grievous is there's this behind-the-scenes thing where George Lucas is like, well, since Grievous is mostly a cyborg, he's actually supposed to parallel Vader. It's like, okay, Vader didn't run away like a little fucking baby. Anytime someone started to like do good, it's like, oh, Vader always just kicked ass. So he's foreshadowing, like I get it, he's foreshadowing that Anakin is gonna become more machine than man, but we don't really need that foreshadowing because Obi-Wan tells us
we already know.
Exactly, like we already know. Like I get it for kids that are watching it in 2005. It was probably like, whoa, I can totally tell my English teacher about this, bro.
I mean,
wow.
it's cool having Grievous be like the prototype for Darth Vader in a way, but it doesn't really do much else, you know.
Yeah, it's not great. Anything to add on Professor Cyborg?
Nope.
All right, so next up, Reason. You kind of mentioned this earlier, but a lot of people, especially on the internet, really look at this movie with the nostalgia goggles on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I totally get it. Like, I mentioned at the beginning of the movie. Like, I watched this in theaters when I was 9 years old with my best buddy. We had the popcorn, the Dr. Pepper. We had it all, man. I loved this movie. I defended this movie up until probably like a year or 2 ago when I went through and rewatched it again with an open, critical mind. Critical not in that I'm going in trying to find reasons to criticize it, but actually like being willing to,
as a movie.
Yeah, watching it as a movie, being willing to critique it as I watch it. And it's just not good. Like, and I'm not saying, and this is a thing that I always mention to people, you can have your favorite movie, you can have your favorite comic, your favorite TV show, comic book, whatever. That doesn't mean it is the best. It might be the best to you, but like as a consensus, best is very, looking at this as a movie, it definitely is not objectively the best Star Wars movie. The common consensus, of course, is that Empire is the best Star Wars movie. There are tons of really good arguments for why it is. There are good arguments for why pretty much any of the OT movies are. Prequels, less, but again, like, to argue that this movie is the best, that it is better than A New Hope or Empire, I think it's just wrong. And that's my whole spiel on nostalgia. I think that a lot of people do really let it blind them to a lot of the movie's faults that we've kind of talked about, and more that we will continue to talk about. So, Keith, feel free to add in your piece on why nostalgia has blinded them.
Yeah, I mean, because I can definitely understand the nostalgia work, because I certainly have that, but the ability to separate it from the movie and be like, ooh, kind of sucks. Certainly, it's fine if, you can enjoy watching the movie. Personally, I just don't find it enjoyable to watch anymore, just with how I currently stand as a Star Wars fan. I just really can't enjoy watching it anymore. I just get kind of bored, and I'm just like, I don't even really feel like finishing it, because maybe it's because I've watched it so many times. I don't know. But I like with episode 1 and 2, I can still rewatch those. I can rewatch the original trilogy sometimes,
Yeah, for sure.
Prequel, and yes, as far as episode 3 goes, nostalgia just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, and again, by no means are we at any point saying you're not allowed to like this movie. It's just that you should maybe take some critical looks at this and turn off the I love
just understand that it's bad, but it's okay for you to like it. Like,
yeah,
I understand that the Phantom Menace is bad, but it's fine. Like, still like it. But yes, it is bad.
Yeah, I mean, and 100%, and it's totally fine to like what you like. It's just that maybe rethink why you like it. Do you like it because you saw it when you were 9 years old? Or do you like it because of whatever reasons? And even if you do like it because you liked it when you were 9, that's fine. I love the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s. It's not the greatest thing ever, but I love it. And I started watching it when I was like 6 years old. So, totally fine. Do what you want. It's just, we're trying to point out some flaws in this movie.
In conclusion, Splish Splash, your opinion is trash.
True! Big facts. Next up, and a reason why you should turn off the nostalgia goggles and look at this movie critically. The dialogue is bad.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just like a universal point and thing people know about Episode 3, the prequels. I don't think anybody really has a good defense for the dialogue. Pretty indefensible.
Yeah, it's bad. And if the movie is so good, if the movie is so perfect, if it's the best...
Master, General Grievous's ship is directly ahead. The one crawling with vulture droids.
This is where the fun begins.
Buzz droids.
You're going down a path I can't follow.
I'm sorry, Master.
But yeah, it's just not good. It's not good. And granted, yeah, there are some very meme-worthy like lines that you can cherry pick that are like especially bad. But there's also very like disjointed stuff. Like there's the whole scene where like
I can feel your anger.
It's just stuff where like there's the whole part after Anakin kills Dooku, where Sidious is like, oh, well, it's only natural. You cut off your arm, so he cut off your arm, so you fucking murdered him. You only wanted revenge, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just very disjointed.
Remember what you told me about your mother and the Sand People?
Yeah, literally. It's like they're literally, like, I get it. Like, you kind of have to call back to that. About how Anakin's, a murderer. But, like, it's just very, like, shoved in there. Oh, this that business on Cato Nemoidia doesn't count. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I get it. Like, they're, it's just a lot of stuff.
That business on Cato Nemoidia doesn't count.
Yeah, like, I get it. They're referencing stuff that happened off screen. But why? Is it maybe because you haven't done a good job showing us that Anakin and Obi-Wan are friends, so now you have to tell us that they're friends? The dialogue in the prequels in general has a big problem with that too as well, and especially in this movie, where they do a lot of telling and not showing. But yeah, the dialogue, it's not good. If this is the best...
too hot.
If this is the best Star Wars movie, why doesn't it have better dialogue? But not to worry, we are still flying half a ship. But anything to add in more on this like goofy dialogue train that we've been on?
Yes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Yeah.
Well, that phrase there you just said is an absolute.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make you a Sith?
Bum, bum, bum. That's proof the Jedi are evil, bro. But yeah, so on to our last point that we have written down here. The action isn't that good. Obviously, we've touched on the lightsaber battles not being that good, but in general, the action isn't that good either.
Yeah, and if I can expand upon that, at least for me personally, I don't think a lot of the action scenes are that dynamic. Like the opening battle, like sure it has that cool opening shot, right? But upon rewatches, feels like kind of like a bit of an on rails sort of roller coaster moment. And then the rest of it is like the main thing is like they get attacked by buzz droids. And yeah, they basically just like fly in a straight line to the ship. And they get off the ship and fight battle droids. It's just kind of boring. Like there's no threat really.
No way, bro. It's not boring. They do flip.
Bro, he flipped up out of the starfighter.
That's so cool.
The Dooku fight is pretty good. It's fine. But yeah, for the rest of the movie, the action is just kind of. I wouldn't even really call it action scenes. It's more like action blurbs,
Yeah, and I could definitely agree with that. I also think that it's not helped by the fact that so much of this movie is done via CGI. Like, there's no weight behind a lot of stuff.
Right, yeah, exactly. It does not give it any weight, yeah.
Yeah, and so...
And if you're gonna, if you're thinking, well, Star Wars doesn't have to be an action movie, well... and just because it has action in it doesn't make it like an action movie. Yeah. At least to me. Like, I think it has to live up to the standards set forth by episodes 4 and 5, where they just feel like it's a fun action adventure movie, Yeah, like you could say it's it's different. It's doing like space opera stuff, but yeah, like at least episode 1 and 2 tried to be action adventure movies, in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like the tone of episode 1 definitely matches more with like the original trilogy.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, for sure. And I think that just the whole point that people are like, oh, the action in this movie is so great. Like, is it? Like, we've already talked about the main points of action, which obviously are, like, it's when they're having lightsaber fights, but is anything else really that good?
Yeah, like the best action is in, like, the first hour of the movie, and then it's all just downhill from there. I mean, you got some good moments, but nothing really feels like, like there's no stakes. Like, there's nothing, there's no, like, oh, we got to do this to stop this. It's kind of all just, it's like you're just watching just like a procession of events.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that definitely hurts it, but also, like, we have scenes like Operation Nightfall during Order 66. Like, this is supposed to be like a big thing, and we get like 5 seconds of CGI clones shooting CGI Jedi.
Yeah.
and then Anakin murders children. But
Yeah.
like that's it. Like we have during the Grievous
Yeah,
Grievous
I think I can
Obi-Wan
see now
fight-
why people were. I can see now why people were disappointed with the movie when it, like older fans at least. When it came out.
Oh yeah, like for sure. But yeah, the action, it just doesn't. It's not as fun to watch. Like you have all this stuff going on in the background, but it's very kind of just meandering. Like it's there just to be there.
It's like, once again, there's not really like a protagonist. Like you could say it's Anakin, but is it really Anakin?
Well, it's
You don't
Anakin
really-
because the prequels are about Anakin.
Yeah, but I mean, like in this movie, like okay, we have the opening battle, but then the rest of the movie just kind of jumps around. And...
Well, yeah, but Anakin's still the main protagonist. He is still driving the plot forward.
Fine.
So, but yeah, I mean, the action, I 100% agree. It's not that good. It's very weightless. Doesn't have a lot of stakes.
Mid.
Yeah, very mid. Very mid. It's mid, bro. But yeah. Anything else to add in on the action front?
Nah, not really.
All right, perfect. So then that does it for this video, guys. Again, we'll have links to our other videos. We've got that down in the description. Also down in the description is our the link to our Discord if you want to join that and tell us about how we're wrong and that Revenge of the Sith is secretly brilliant and it's so amazing and oh my god, it's so cool. You can join that and let the hate flow. Like leave a comment down below. Like I enjoy being able to see other stuff. Like it's interesting to see other people's points of view. And don't take this in a big butthurt way, because it's just our opinion, man, that episode 3 isn't as good as you think it is.
Indeed.
And with that, we will in the near future, since you guys are such a big fan of them, we will actually be releasing a standalone how we would rewrite episode 3. So if you thought our video was great and we're geniuses, which we aren't, tune in next time to see how we're going to rewrite this movie and make it actually good. And with that, whoa! And with that, this has been Cade from the Lore Council signing off.
This is Keith. We will catch y'all on the flip-flop.